Shalom Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to men out there doing this work of faith and living with love, truth, sincerity. I just want to go over, a couple things in reference to the quick commentary, that I just did, in reference to those two guys, having that discussion, with that Edomite, pretty much about Esau not being a so-called white man, and this stuff is pretty basic, man, and there's so much edification that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua put out there, for any brother that may have had a doubt, that the so-called white man today isn't the Edomites, that you can definitely find out, because it's so much information out there, So just real briefly, I just wanted to go through some history and some edification, for brothers to, continuously paint that picture, and it's a lot of, there's always new brothers rolling into the faith, and, that need to know these things, and, we constantly need to know things as well, because you can never know enough in this truth, you know what I'm saying? The knowledge of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is endless, man. You can't possibly know every single thing, man. So, so I just wanted to go through this real quick and, to show further examples that, the so-called white man of today are the biblical Edomites, all right? So, with that, just going into this book here, Arthur Koestler, The 13th Tribe. Now, this book, it's called The 13th Tribe because basically it gets into the history of the Khazar Empire, and explaining how the Khazars, are not a part of the biblical Israelites, but they converted to the so-called Judaistic faith, and believing on the scriptures, and, they wound up convincing themselves throughout their generations that they were the true Israelites that the Bible speaks of, but this book, Salakia, proves otherwise, So, and it gets into dissecting the ways of Edom, their characteristics, and so on and so forth. And when you really think about it, when you go through Genesis 25, the story of Jacob and Esau, the Most High gives you those characteristics for you to know who the biblical Edomites are today, Just for an example, like when doctors, they diagnose someone with Down syndrome or something like that, before they run their tests and different things like that, what's the first thing they do? You have to examine, you examine someone. You can tell by the physical characteristics, like with Moab. We can tell that they have that Down syndrome because of how their face is, man. Their facial characteristics. So that's all it is. So the Most High gave us characteristics for us to know the so-called white man are the Edomites. And the same thing that doctors do, they notice certain characteristics about a person before they diagnose them with any disease or whatever the case may be, So that's exactly what we're going to get into now, these spiritual points, that a lot of these other Israelite groups and, just idiots out there that just don't know, but it's all for the edification of the elect. All right, so the first point I want to get into with this book, is pretty much their low nature, as it gets into in book of Obadiah. It's Obadiah verse 2. It says, "Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised." Now what, that meaning what? Of a despicable nature, basically, They're lowest among all the heathen, all the other nations, as far as how they carry themselves, the things that they do, so on and so forth. So just to get into this point, you had this Arab traveler, or chronicler, Ibn Fadlan, that pretty much rode with various of those Edomite nomadic tribes, okay, up there in Europe, and he wrote accounts about them, describing their nature, so on and so forth, the things that they did. All right, so it says, all right, and this is Ibn Fadlan in his writings. It says, "The next morning, one of the Turks met us. He was ugly in build, dirty in appearance, contemptible in manners, base in nature." And what that rightly goes into Obadiah verse 2, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen that are greatly despised. Because it says what? They were contemptible in manners. Contemptible means what? Low or base. And the base in nature. Meaning of a low nature. They don't care for themselves bodily wise. You know what I'm saying? Not washing properly, different things, so on and so forth. All right, another quick example of them being low in nature. Although they lead a hard life, they behave like donkeys that have lost their way. They have no religion that will link them to the Most High, to any God, nor are they guided by reason. They do not worship anything. And that point's going to the point of, Esau not being spiritual. And that's the reason why he sold the birthright unto Jacob, our forefather, for a parcel of a pottage, portion of meat, And it says, all right, accustomed to the splendid baths of Baghdad, our traveler could not get over the dirtiness of the Turks. The Guz do not wash themselves after defecating or urinating, nor do they bathe after seminal pollution or on any other occasion. So they basically just got it in with each other and just didn't wash, period, It says, nor do they, they refuse to have anything to do with water, particularly in winter. When the Guz commander-in-chief took off his luxurious coat of brocade to don a new coat the mission had brought him, they saw that his underclothes were fraying apart from dirt, for it is their custom never to take off the garment they wear close to their bodies until it disintegrates. That's disgusting, man. They pretty much wore their drawers on them until it disintegrated, Talk about low among the heathen, man. It says, another Turkish tribe, the Bashkirs, shave their beards and eat their lice. They search the folds of their undergarments and crack the lice with their teeth. When Ibn Fadlan watched a Bashkir do this, the latter remarked to him, they are delicious, man. And that's the nature of the so-called white man, just contemptible and base in nature, man. It says, their women wear no veils in the presence of their men or strangers, nor do the women cover any parts of their bodies in the presence of people. One day we stayed at the place of a Guz and were sitting around. His wife was also present. As we conversed, the woman uncovered her private parts and scratched them, and we all saw it. Thereupon we covered our faces and said, may God forgive me. The husband laughed and said to the interpreter, tell them we uncover it in your presence so that ye may see and restrain yourselves, but it cannot be attained. This is better than when it is covered up and yet attainable. Adultery is alien to them. Yet when they discover that someone is an adulterer, they split him in two halves. This they do by bringing together the branches of two trees, tie him to the branches, and then let both trees go, so that the man tied to them is torn in two. Hey man, that speaks in itself, man. The next point, it says, they are the filthiest creatures of the Lord. In the morning a servant girl brings a basin full of water to the master of the household. He rinses his face and hair in it, spits, and blows his nose into the basin, which the girl then hands on to the next person, who does likewise, until all who are in the house have used that basin to blow their noses, spit, and wash their face and hair in it, man. So this just goes to show you the nature of the so-called white man, who are the biblical Edomites of today. All right. So as far as this segment of Esau being low among the heathen, I'll wrap it up on this point, but I'll continue on with the next point of this lesson.